The discussion that we had in the last class. Yes. What did we discuss?
Rigid automation.
Yes, that was one topic. And rigid automation we saw. So as we had seen that rigid automation is a type of automation, right? There are three types of automation. We'll see that in the coming unit, but this topic is covered in this unit itself. So one type of automation out of the three, that those are other two are flexible and programmable automation. Okay, and the third one is rigid automation. So in rigid automation, as we had seen that the automation, as the name suggests, is rigid, that there's not much change, okay, in the automated setup that we have. Okay, so naturally this will be useful for those products which are not having much variety or much modification over time, right? Those who are not subjected to product feature change, okay, or not frequently, you can say, maybe in years, okay, those changes happen. So this setup would be useful. Otherwise it becomes very difficult to modify this automated setup that we had designed. As I said, custom engineered equipment, right? So features where high initial investment, production rate is high because you don't have delays, right? And another disadvantage you can say is inflexibility to accommodate the product variety. If there are changes in the product features, then it cannot be accommodated if you have a rigid type of automated system, right? And we had seen this example of these modular feed drive units being used, right, to attach here, for example. So an example is given that this is a standard milling unit, and these standard feed units can be attached. So a rigid automated machine consists of modular units. Okay, so you can attach that, and so that becomes a special purpose equipment. Upon addition of all those modular units, it becomes special purpose equipment, we can call it, right? Then we had seen fundamental we started with fundamentals of CAD, and the first thing that we saw was the conventional design process. That is the design process that is being used conventionally, that has been used conventionally in the past. And not to mention, this is without the help of computers, right? So we had seen recognition of need, what are the different phases in it, right? Recognition of need, definition of problem, synthesis, analysis and optimization, evaluation and presentation, right? These two are creative tasks, you can say. The other four are, these can be automated, right? Because they are they do not involve much of creativity, you can say, because these are initial phases. You have to recognize why you need that particular thing and where is it to be used. Okay, to be able to come up with that, you require some creativity. Definition of problem, you specify, okay, exactly what is it that you want to do, and the different design specifications is what will keep, right? So you will clearly define what is it that you're going to design. Okay, and then you will try to, in synthesis phase, you'll come up with conceptual sketches, right? We'll plot the different drawings, specifying the different forces as well, and the different dimensions also of the product, the rough dimensions as to where is it that you want a particular feature, etc. Analysis optimization, you try to analyze it with the help of analytical formulas, right? Optimize it over time, like changing the dimension if it doesn't match the safe limits of stresses and etc. Screen is blur. 1040. Okay. So is it blur for all, or is it just the case with some students?
For me, it is okay, sir.
It is okay.
For me, it is okay, sir.
Okay. No. Someone says no. Is it okay now? I've put it on complete slideshow, right? Blur. Now as well. Clear. Some are saying clear, some are saying so probably this is a problem with network connection. Now it's okay, clear. Okay, probably a network connection problem, and it will clear over time, I believe, once the network connection is strong. Okay, so this was the conventional design process, right? In evaluation and presentation, what do? Evaluation, you try to check the design against the specifications or against the design specifications you have defined in definition of problem definition phase, right? And then presentation, like conventional drafting. Okay. Okay. So conventional drafting, right? Because this is without the help of computers. So in presentation phase, you will do it conventionally with the help of draftsmen. You'll plot the different finalized drawings to be sent for production. Okay. So this is what we had seen. Okay. And I even gave you the example of that stool, right? The fifth leg in the middle, if you want to keep it, because you have recognized the need that it breaks in the middle. So you define the problem exactly, where is it, what is the problem, okay, what is the weight that you are going to design that stool for, what is the weight that it should carry, the minimum nominal weight that it should carry. Synthesis phase, different conceptual sketches you draw of that stool, of that leg, basically that middle leg, right? And the different conceptual sketches, basically to achieve the same target, the same thing, different concepts, different maybe shapes, okay, different shapes of that leg, maybe circular or square cross section, and the placement of that leg, right? All these are conceptual uh, conceptual designs, basically. Analysis and optimization, the different formulas to analyze the different forces acting on it, constraints, etc. Evaluation, you measure it against the problem definition phase. If it is okay, you go to a presentation. If no, then you go to again synthesis phase. So this is what we mean by iterative. As I had mentioned, design process is repetitive or iterative, you can say, because you want to optimize, because it will not be one parameter may be matching, the others may not be matching. So you'll have to again go back to the synthesis phase, go redefine that or modify that conceptual sketch you had. Okay, so this is a loop basically in here. Okay, now about design process with CAD. Okay, as I had mentioned, as for what phases are being replaced, right? What phases are used for, like what technology is used for the different phases in the design. First two phases, as I said, involves creativity, so human intervention is much. So you do not have any computer technology being employed there. But for the last four phases, for synthesis, we are using geometric modeling technology, right? 3D modeling softwares is what we are using, and that's what we will see. So these are all the things that we that will utilize computers for: synthesis phase, analysis and optimization, evaluation, presentation, right? Any doubts in the last class that you may not have asked? Yes, based on the summary that we did just now. Okay, so as for geometric modeling, we had seen that it is concerned with the computer compatible mathematical description of the geometry, right? We are the software, what basically the software is doing is it is trying to mathematically define the geometry that we have, okay, or the geometry that we want to construct. Okay, it is stored uh, using that mathematical descriptions. We had all seen all those theorems that we saw in mathematics, right? Interpolation functions and all. So that the storage of that model is in the form of mathematical description, we can say mathematically described. Okay, that mathematical description allows the image of the object to be displayed and manipulated on a graphics terminal through signals from the CPU of a CAD system. So that mathematical description is allowing the image to be displayed on that monitor we have, right? Displayed as well as manipulated. So manipulated in the sense you can visualize that with different features that we have, scaling, right? You can scale the model, zoom in and zoom out to see the different features, or if at all it requires detailing. Okay, those are all the features. So that's manipulation. Okay, scaling, rotation, okay, transformation. You can move the model as well, you can place it. You have assembly modeling as well, right? So you specify the different constraints to display the to define the relationship between the components, right? So that's manipulation. And these all is displayed on a graphics terminal, which are coming from signals of the CPU, right? A CAD system will have a CPU, right? Central processing unit. So that, and the software that provides geometric modeling capabilities must be designed for efficient use both by the computer and the human design. So they should, as I had mentioned, there should be a user interface, right? User friendly user interface, you can say. So the interface should be capable of uh, efficient communication. There should be efficient communication between the human designer and the computer. All the different features or the different dialog boxes that the system, that the software gives, okay, should be easily understandable by the user. And the inputs that are given from the user should be translated, okay, effectively by to the software. Okay, the software should be able to understand what the user is trying to do. So that is what is meant by efficient use. Right? Graphical image of the object is constructed on the cathode ray tube screen of the interactive computer graphics system with the input of 3 types of command. So this cathode ray tube was used initially, right? Now we don't use that, but and interactive computer graphics, you can say, this is achieved with different technologies. Like you could have a cathode ray tube, okay, and there are different other technologies as well. So it is constructed with the help of 3 types of commands. First command generates basic geometric elements like points, lines, and circles, right? And then second command types perform scaling, rotation, transformation, right? Third command types causes various elements to be joined into the desired object shape that is being created on the ICG system. So simultaneously, this happens, right? So first we have a creation of points, lines, and circles, right? And then you will try to manipulate them. So that's your second command. And the third command is the relationship between all those points, right? You have a line being drawn, right? A line being drawn. Okay, this is one entity. And with at the end of this line, for example, you will draw another line at an angle. Okay, so the relationship between them, okay, to be joined and then to be manipulated. Clear this. Okay, and it is during this geometric modeling process that the computer converts commands into a mathematical model, stores it in the computer data files, and displays it as an image on CRT screen. So it is during these commands that the computer is converting all those commands what we are giving, right? All those zooming in, zooming out, and the different dimensions that we are giving for the different entities, right? Features, points, lines, and circles, etc. So that it converts it into a mathematical model, right? And also there is storage. The storage is in the form of mathematical formulas, okay, and displays it as an image. What is being stored is being displayed. So that is what is meant. So the generated model can be called from these data files for review, analysis, or alteration. So because you have it stored now, right, you can call it for modification, right, or for a review, analysis, for basically doing either, we will see what types of analysis we have. Okay, it can be called, basically what I mean to say is you can modify that, alteration. So that's another uh, advantage that you get when you are doing geometric modeling with the help of 3D modeling softwares. So in conventional design process, you are not storing it in virtual space, isn't it? They were only conceptual sketches that were drawn on paper. So you don't have storage. Screen is blur again, someone typed. Should I reshare this? How is it now? Is it clear? Yes, is it clear now? Or same issue? Same. Check your signal strength. It might be a problem with that because some people had mentioned that they were able to see it, right, initially. So also, okay. So it can be called, so retrieval is another feature, as I was mentioning. Retrieval of that model is another advantage that you get when we are using 3D modeling softwares, right? The basic form uses wireframes to represent the object. The basic form, yes. So you see here, this is how a wireframe model will look like. Okay, you have only lines, points, right? No surface data, no solid data. So this is the basic form of modeling in 3D modeling softwares. You have wireframe models, okay, like a skeletal structure, you can say. So it doesn't have data about surface. It doesn't tell you what part of it is in the front and what part of it is in the back, right? Hidden lines, that feature is also not activated here. So it creates confusion, isn't it? As for complicated components, it will create some confusion. That is the drawback of that. 3D wireframe representations of complicated shapes which are inadequate for visualization can be enhanced by using dashed lines to portray rear edges of object. or removing rear edges altogether for a less cluttered picture. You see, as I said, there are even lines which are actually at the back of this component. Okay, so if you want to make it clear or make it a better to visualize, if you want to enhance the visualization, what can be done is you can eliminate the rear edges, right? That will not be shown. If you omit that, then the picture somewhat becomes clear as to how does this component look like from the front. And even these holes, for example, can be made dashed, or you can altogether remove it, right? Just showing this circular one here, which is at the top, which will be visible if it is a solid, isn't it? So if you omit that, then it becomes less cluttered, as what I have written becomes clear basically. 3D solid modeling is the most advanced method of geometric modeling, which uses solid geometry shapes called primitives to construct objects. So another thing to discuss before that is, after wireframe modeling, you have the second type of modeling as surface modeling, right? Here you have surface data as well. Okay, so not much solid is involved in surface models, right? Like for example, this plastic bottle that you're seeing, or in automotive, if you want to see the outer body panels of the car, right, of the automotives, those are all sheet metals. So surface modeling is what we'll use if you want to model that in the software, right? So that's how a surface model will look like. Okay, and the third one is solid modeling. This is the most advanced method of modeling, as we had seen in that slide, because this gives information about not only the lines and surfaces but also the solid, right, which is inside. So you can cut the model in here or anywhere to check the cross sectional data, right? If I cut it here, I can see that there is material here, and then this will be blank, right? So we can know the sectional data with these solid models, right? Because there is solid, it's completely solid, as opposed to surface. This is a solid model, so that can be done. And even we'll see mass properties and all can be found, right? So the left part that you're seeing, the left image is solid modeling, okay, part modeling basically, and the right one is assembly modeling. So different components being assembled together with the help of constraints or relations, right? We have different constraints that are in the software by default, like the center of this bolt and the center of this hole, this base plate hole, should be concentric, right? Same center. And that this what do you call flange should, the bottom part of this flange, the bottom surface, should touch with this base plate top surface, right? All these constraints. So that's assembly modeling, wherein you have combination of these components, you define relations between them, right? And that can be used for downstream applications, as we'll see what all those downstream applications. So you can use that. Right. So also primitives. So in here, in that 3D modeling software, what we have is primitives, in the sense fundamental entities like cylinders, prism, or what do you call spheres, right? All these are primitives, fundamental blocks. So it is basically that which will constitute most of the model. You'll try to model with the help of those primitives. You'll draw a sketch of a circle and then extrude it so that becomes a cylinder. And then you'll add more features on that. So that goes downstream, right? The design tree goes like that. So those primitives are being used to construct the objects, right? And another feature in this geometric modeling is the color graphic capability. As you can see, the example is for swivel eye block assembly, right? So assembly of these components. So with the help of these graphics capability that we have, we are able to highlight all those components, right? Which component ends where, right? And how does it interact with that, right? The placement of it, all these things can be visualized. So color graphics capability. So, and this becomes more important in assembly modeling, right? The more complicated the model is, the better is the benefit that you get, the more the benefit you get because of this color graphics capability. And not just that, even highlighting of dimensions, right? Same applies to that. Okay. So now, any doubts in this geometric modeling? The first part, like for synthesis phase, as I said, we were drawing conceptual drawings by hand, right? Now we are using geometric modeling, that is basically in 3D modeling softwares. Commercial packages available, right? So these are all the things, and these are all the different features that you have, right? Doubts regarding geometric modeling?
Sir, you have told first one in geometric modeling, it is used by the human effort.
No,
You
you
told us,
mean to
sir.
say here, in here you mean synthesis?
Yes, sir. First, you have told us, sir, it is done by the human effort. It's not done by the computer.
Yes.
And afterwards, by CADing, it is done by the uh, computer effort, sir.
Yes, you see, this was our conventional design process, right? We
Yes,
had
sir.
seen here, this was our conventional design process, wherein the synthesis phase, as I said, involves different conceptual drawings. Okay, if it is an assembly, you draw all the, you take up all those components together, right? So
Yes, sir.
that was done
By human effort.
by humans. Yes, conceptual drawings, all those were made by hand, right? Rough drawings,
By
you might
hand.
have seen.
Yes.
You just draw it like casual sketches, right?
Yes.
Rough sketches. So that was
Yes,
done
sir.
by humans. Now in here we are doing geometric modeling. Yes, humans are doing it, but with the help of computer softwares, right? CATIA, SolidWorks. If you have seen those
Graphically.
softwares, you will be able to relate. We are basically drawing the models, right? Though all those
Yes.
models will give us the drawings, right? Conceptual drawings itself,
Yes, sir.
right? So is it clear?
Graphically.
Hmm.
Graphically, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Correct.
So that basically
Okay,
what
sir.
this is trying to show is, for synthesis phase, geometric modeling is being utilized when it comes to CAD. Okay.
Okay,
And
sir.
the design process includes CAD, computer aided design. Then synthesis phase will be taken care by the geometric modeling capability. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any other doubt? Yes. Only one candidate is listening. Because there are no messages as well saying no doubts. Okay, so that indicates very few are actually in the class. Okay, clear. So that was about geometric modeling, right? And we'll see how this geometric modeling is being used for downstream applications. Not just here, you see in here, you can see some of it like engineering analysis, design review and evaluation, automated drafting. There are some more. Okay, geometric modeling for downstream applications is a different topic altogether that we'll see. Okay, so this is a very important step, you can say, in the design process. We'll see why. Okay. Okay. Engineering analysis. So once you have created those models, we are doing engineering analysis with the help of numerical softwares. Numerical analysis is what we are doing in those softwares. Okay. We call it FEA softwares generally. Okay. To name a few, you have ANSYS, right? Just to give you an idea, you have ANSYS. And what else? You have Abacus, you have LS Dyna, and we have Mark software, and the different softwares. All these are different FEA packages, isn't it? So these will give you the capability to do numerical analysis. And what is the input for that numerical analysis? A CAD model. A model is required, right? You could do that model right in the FEA software. Yes, you can do that. But if it is a complicated model, it requires a specific 3D modeling software, as in we have CATIA, Unigraphics, right? Those are meant for modeling. So you'll use that. Once you've created the models, you'll import that in these softwares, numerical analysis softwares, ANSYS, LS Dyna, etc. You'll import those models in these softwares, right? To perform analysis on them, on those components, right? To analyze them. So almost every engineering design project requires some type of analysis, right? So it could be any component, right? You take even the what do you call consumer appliances, for example, our phone. So a test that I can give you that is being conducted is crashworthiness. I'm sorry, crash test, not crashworthiness, crash test. So you have you will check whether what height is safe for that phone, right? So if it falls with that height and at this angle, okay, so that it hits exactly at so and so spot, okay, on the phone, what damage will it cause? Will it be significant? Okay, these are all the things that you'll see in the crash test. So for that, you'll require basically analysis, right? That is, analysis is what we are doing. That will help us to know whether it will sustain those loads and the electronic components inside will be safe or not. Okay. So almost every engineering design project requires some type of analysis, be it industrial, as in our mechanical industry, like structural analysis. You have crashworthiness for automotive industry, right? And then thermal, CFD, etc. All these are analysis. So analysis may involve stress strain calculations, heat transfer computations, use of differential equations to describe dynamic behavior of the system, etc. So it could be anything. You may want to know what are the stresses generated, what are the strains generated, right? And the heat transfer computations, if it is thermal analysis, is what you're doing, right? Temperatures is what we'll know, right? What are the final temperatures if I subject it to so and so heat source, right, for 1 hour or 2 hour, right? Use of differential equations to describe the dynamic behavior of the system. So there are even dynamic loads applied, right? Not just static loads, dynamic loads are applied to check the response of the component. Okay, in CAD, computer helps in the above processes. Two important examples are mentioned as follows: analysis of mass properties and finite element analysis. Okay, you see the first one, analysis of mass properties. You see, an example is here. Okay, what they were doing was, what they were designing a quadcopter, right? I believe all of you know what is a quadcopter, right? So it has these fans at these 4 locations, right, which will help this thing to fly in the air, right? So it has these 4 legs, with what we can call, or arms we can call it. So they were trying to design this, okay, and once they had constructed the model, what they did was they use these mass properties features that we have in the 3D softwares. Okay, so you see here it mentions the mass 151.13 grams and the volume, right? Surface area, center of mass. So analysis of mass properties provides properties of solid object being analyzed, such as surface area, weight, volume of the whole assembly as well, and the individual components, right? Center of gravity, moment of inertia. All those are there are inbuilt algorithms, formulas being written, which the software will use to tell us where is the center of mass, what are the moment of inertia, right? Different, and